This episode is brought to you by Progressive Commercial Insurance. Business owners, meet Progressive Insurance. They make it easy to get discounts on commercial auto insurance and find coverages to grow with your business. Quote in as little as 6 minutes at progressivecommercial.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company. Coverage provided and serviced by affiliated and third-party insurers. Discounts and coverage selections not available in all states or situations.
Empower.
Claire is practicing her breathing for her upcoming yoga retreat in Bali. Has she ever done yoga before? No. But Claire worked with Empower on her savings and investment strategy. She got good at money, so she can be a little bad. Empower. Invest well, live a little. Join our 19 million customers today at empower.com.
Past performance is not indicative of future returns. Investing involves risk. You may lose money. Advisory services are provided for a fee by Empower Advisor Group, LLC, EAG, a registered investment advisor with the Securities and Exchange Commission. Om Namaste.
100
I can't tell if it's getting easier or harder. And I think as we grow as a band, of course, things will get easier in some regards. If you're making more money, you can afford more comfortable sleeping situations and van situations. That's just the actual know-how of it all. Every single artist and band who's on a touring schedule, whether it's weekends and holidays or full time, knows that. So my bad for explaining, but I mean, for those that don't know, that is the case. And so there's a bit of getting your sea legs with touring where it's okay, you've done it, you know what to expect. And a lot of what to expect is the unexpected, as corny as that sounds. It's just a lot of radical acceptance and just accepting that shit's just gonna happen how it happens. And you have to live very objectively, in the moment, which is hard for me because I suffer from anxiety. But that being said, it has gotten a lot easier in a lot of ways. And then in other ways, I think it gets harder and harder to leave home sometimes. I just feel as you tour more and you work more and you figure out what you like about yourself and you grow up and, with any job, you learn more about yourself and you start to kind of carve out this space for yourself in your life. And touring does not offer a lot of balance in life. And while I really love the chaos, it does get harder and harder sometimes. It goes through waves. It definitely goes through waves.
And you're at that kind of age where maybe you have a little bit more money and you can have a flat and you can do nice things and you can treat yourself to a nice eat out meal. Yeah. Those are nice things.
Just a little bit more comfortable, but not a lot, honestly.
Okay.
And I also think, we're living in kind of unprecedented times, and specifically in America right now. So there is kind of this unease in general. Whether it's with your financial situation, most people I know, we're just kind of hunkering down and holding on to our money and just trying to be very mindful of how things might shift and change. And things like that. But at the same time, it's you grow up, you get a bit more comfortable, and it's damn, now I gotta go see the world.
We're adults now. Do you know what? I kind of like talking about money because it's
really.
Well, why is it, look, I don't want to ask anyone ask comfortable questions. I don't want to ask whether a good friend or if it's of a stranger. Yeah. But generally, I think that the headline for me is communication is helpful. It's oh, that's what you do. Oh shit, I didn't know I should say. Yeah. Just these basic things.
Yeah. Yeah, it's funny. Money is a really interesting thing. I mean, it's a personal thing for everybody. Obviously, it's a personal thing, but I also think something that actually people don't talk about a lot when it comes to money is trauma that's attached to money. And some people get really cagey around it and the conversations around it because of how they grew up around money and how money affected them on such a personal level at times in their lives.
Yeah.
And so I always try to consider that. I mean, it feels like I have money trauma. I grew up in kind of an unstable financial environment. And so it caused a lot of anxiety about it. Where now I've had to let go as a touring musician. You're pretty much freelance. and taxes just whoop your ass. So it's like, so what is money? It's bullshit, you know?
Yeah.
And then
It's
also
one of
being
those...
a punk.
Yeah, right. That's it. Trying to like reconcile being a punk in a capitalist world.
Yeah.
Like just going to Tesco or Asda or Walmart, whatever it is. Fuck. Let's not go there.
Yeah.
There's have you found it funny like making money, like being an artist, like your job being an artist? Because a lot of people like I know, like I'm lucky my mum is a writer, so there was always that like, oh, you know, fucking go full send with the thing that you like doing, because there's no other option. But I know plenty of people where it's like, oh, making art for a living, like, no, it's terrifying, like that doesn't even work, that doesn't even make sense.
Yeah, I mean, I think I experienced that a lot more at the beginning of this, like when I decided to tour full time. When we started the band, I was working at grocery stores and coffee shops and just doing that. And I don't have a proper high school diploma. I didn't go to college. I'm not necessarily someone who like had a big plan or ever really committed to a big plan, even from a young age. I kind of was above it all. I was like, school's bullshit. I don't need that. I'm going to go do whatever I want, which is kind of what I did. So that's cool. But also totally like, I think people should go to school. I think education's beautiful. I'm not romanticizing that idea. I just was a little bit of a burnout. So, that was my circumstance. But that
and I
being
think
said,
a lot of teachers, like, there are a lot of good teachers out there. Like I don't think I had any good teachers.
I don't think I had a lot of good teachers. And if I have, you know, but I do remember like one or two, maybe three teachers that like really like left an imprint on my memory with school, and like how they showed empathy towards me and kind of like, I think, understood my situation on a deeper level without me having to say anything. And for that, I'm very grateful.
They were knowing.
But yeah, I mean, yeah, they just kind of picked up. They were intuitive enough. And I don't think every teacher has that ability. I do think it's something that is really valuable though. So when it comes to making art and making money is the afterthought. That's always been how I thought of it. And now, of course, I'm 27 and I have bills to pay, and I have to pay for health insurance in America, which is super cool and bullshit. So, you know, like I would like to make money to survive and keep doing what I love to do. So I don't have to go back to scanning groceries. That would be nice. But I always, and I still have this like general philosophy about making art for a living, where it's like when I moved to Santa Cruz in my early 20s, I told myself, I was like, as long as I am making art in some capacity, I don't care if I'm living out of my car. I don't care if I have nothing. Like, I need to make art. That to me is survival. And I think a lot of artists can probably relate to that. And I think that there is a bit of like a boundary, or like this transparent like glass you have to shatter through, where you realize like life isn't about money and it's not about what you make and how you like, at least not for me, and not for, I don't think for our survival, like it really to a degree is not. Obviously that's a very complex statement.
Totally. Well, I get it. And this is one of those things that it's hard to say something without then thinking, oh fuck, is someone going to be offended by that? But you know, I think we could both be safe, and neither of us are trying to offend anyone. And just talking about money is a difficult thing.
Yeah, it's more so on I guess like I said, a philosophical level. Like for my own survival, art comes before money. Yeah, money is necessary. I do want to survive and money is survival to utmost degree, obviously, but I need to make art. Bottom line, you know, and whatever form that is, whatever shape that takes. I just got very lucky current day that it has taken this form, where I get to travel and I get to meet so many beautiful people, and like there gets to be this like really cool manifestation of the art that like goes beyond it. It's beyond just like a recorded piece of music or a live set. It's like, it's very, very internal and personal for so many people. And that's not something I've ever really experienced. Because growing up, I didn't really play music. I didn't know music. I would draw a lot. I did a lot of visual art, a lot of photography, videography, like was really into writing. And now I do whatever the fuck this is. So I don't know.
Yeah. Have you like hardcore is so big now, and like the internet made that happen, you know, like obviously like I mean, even when like cameras, you know, people getting cameras and filming shows, you'd go onto YouTube in 2007 and you'd see some show that's happening the other side of the world. And you're like, this is sick, you know, TV party kind of thing. And, you know, there's always going to be like that kind of DIY spirit kind of transposed or projected, whichever one makes sense, like into this kind of bigger world thing, because people want to see hardcore bands, so the venues have to be bigger, you know, the record labels have to press enough copies so that people would get it. What's been your like personal journey with that, and like kind of questioning yourself, the hard questions, but also like the easy stuff where it's like, well, and I don't want to put ideas or words in your mouth, but like, hey, I want to communicate, so I'm going to communicate to people.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I think that I think questioning yourself is very, very important and integral to anything you do. And like challenging your thoughts and challenging yourself is the only way to grow. And that extends, like, that is something that I think for me personally that I take away from punk and hardcore the most, is that like challenging the status quo, challenging yourself, challenging the people around you, the people you love, and the systems, you know, around you.
That's not easy. That's not easy to say to your friend, oh, hey, why did you say that thing? Why did you talk shit on that band just because of one sort of irrelevant kind of thing is just about your project. Because that happens all the time in punk and hardcore. And I'm sure it happens in all niche genres, but definitely happens fucking loads.
I think in hardcore, it just, the way it manifests is so much more like outside, external and powerful. Like it really does have like this raised fist about it, which I think is amazing. Yeah, it's very opinionated, and I think that's amazing. That's part of why I love it. But it can be really hard when you're the one on the chair getting questioned. And I think, but at the same time, when I quit being concerned with my ego and the perception of it all and who my character is on the outside, it makes being challenged actually like very beautiful. And while it is painful, I think everything that is beautiful is painful. Like, I'm such a philosophical hippie, so I apologize. But yeah, no, I think, like I said, when I take the ego out of it, it makes it a lot more comfortable and right, if that makes sense. It's like, well, of course, I fell in love with hardcore when I was a kid, when I was a teenager growing up, because I was given this like I felt empowered to question the things around me. Like, of course I'm being questioned now by this thing. Like, that's the point. And I think that's really beautiful. And it also can be really painful and really frustrating and a million other feelings. And that's the thing, is that they all are there together at the same time, and nothing's wrong or right. And it's created this like really beautiful acceptance for me personally. Not easy by any means. I think that when it comes to punk and hardcore, it's really necessary, like I said, though, to question myself too. Like the amount of times I've been like, well, is this a good idea? You know, whether it's like some opportunity with a brand or some opportunity to play a show somewhere or to do this or that. And clearly with Scowl, like, on a public level, clearly, like, we question ourselves and each other. Like, we've made decisions in the past to pull out of things because we didn't align, or, you know, so on and so forth. So every decision we make does not go without some like extensive thought. But I don't expect everyone to know that, you know? I think that's just ridiculous. And at the end of the day, like, there's going to be a lot of people who just like to talk, and that's a good thing. Again, like, there is beauty in that. Like, we are animals who seek connection to survive. Like, I am clearly on a tip where I'm like boiling this all down to survival, but like, it is something that relates heavily to what I've been going through the last couple of years. So yeah.
you've been posting about it, reading like the captions, and again, hey, talking about it. Like, I appreciate when you write the captions on like the band account, Instagram, where it's like, this is what the song is about. And it's like, oh damn, yeah, like there's hundreds of thousands of people out there who can relate, and
it's so scary. It is so scary to be vulnerable and sincere, but it's also probably the most important thing to me at this point in my life. You have to find balance, like ultimate balance in it, and it's kind of impossible. That's like human nature. So
not heaven, not hell. You gave me that one on the plate.
Literally. Yeah. Here.
That's good. And you wrote about that track. You were like, I just can't exist in that in between thing.
Yeah. No, I mean, like that position that like, that pretty much what is the word? Not heaven, not hell. The limbo. Yeah, the limbo is such an interesting place to find yourself in. It's very necessary, and I think for me, limbo feels a lot more like rock bottom than actual rock bottom does, because of how much I am, how like much I hate complacency, and specifically not hell, not heaven is about feeling that. And traditionally, like for me, I felt that in relationships a lot, and feeling that in a relationship, and feeling that within myself though too, and like recognizing that like as much as this relationship is not working and I am in pain, and there's a part of it that is out of my control, there's also very much a part of it that is in my control. And I need to like, It is a mental thing though. Recognizing that I was in a position for a long time where I didn't feel like I had choice, and that was true to a degree, but there was also a side of it that was like, no, I need to crawl out, even if it's like tooth and nail. And I think like when I talked about not hell, not heaven, like on our Instagram post, for example, I kind of wrote this message about it, and I was like, this is for the people who maybe never got out and maybe never survived, because that is just as heroic in its own way. I don't want to like romanticize that, but I will say like I understand that pain and that great challenge. And that song is really about that, and it's something that I think I've been tasked with, since I was very young. Because I felt it as a kid even. I was like, I need to get out. And then I moved out at 16 years old, and I said, fuck this, I'm out. Like there is this like weird survival instinct that exists, I think, within all of us. But for me, it's like very heightened.
Did you like, was there an element of that like suffering that was like, oh, this is part of it, this is part of the deal?
Absolutely. I think suffering like is always going to be present in change, and in that like kind of caterpillar to butterfly, transition, I guess. That's always going to hurt. It's always going to be painful, and there is a level of comfort in suffering if you're very used to it. So I mean, someone like myself, and I think a lot of people could relate to this, is that like comfort in suffering because it's familiar, and and kind of crossing those wires throughout your life a lot, where you find chaos and suffering and pain and conflict to be very comforting because that's what you know. And in reality, it just like kind of perpetuates a lot of the pain and a lot of the disruption in your life. And while it's very necessary to grow and to become this, like what you want to be, at least in my philosophy, you cannot live in it too long. It will literally make you sick. It'll literally kill you. And that was like where I was getting to with Not Hell, Not Heaven. Kind of was this like song about that catalyst moment that's like kind of before it, like being sick and being in that place of like, I am in the infinity loop of this bullshit right now.
The way I visualize it is like footprints in the snow.
Yeah.
It's like you keep on just putting your feet in the same footprints because it's just like, what other option is there? But it's really difficult, isn't it?
Yeah. It's extremely difficult. And it's so, again, it boils down to this thing. It's like what we were talking about with money. It's awfully personal and it's awfully circumstantial. And so that's the other side of it, where it's like, I understand being in that for a long time or forever, you know?
Yeah. Hey, 101 part-time jobs. I think about like the work that goes into writing. Like you were saying, you wrote earlier, you drew earlier in your life.
Yeah.
Like with Scowl, like you can kind of do all of that stuff. How has your relationship changed with like making art now, it being your job?
It's hard. Like it is hard to kind of you know, it's made making art a little confusing at times because art is personal. Like it really is, but it's also my job, which is such a dream come true and all I ever wanted. Sometimes I take time to make art and I put myself in a little shame spiral because I'm like, I could be spending this time and I could be making this art for Scowl and I could be doing it for our social media and for TikTok and for this and that. And I'm like, I'm an artist. Whoa, chill. Like, I'm not a content creator. I am not a fucking content creator. I'm an artist. So like, there's that moment where I'm like, Cat, shut the fuck up. I'm sorry. I don't even know if I can say that. But I have, okay, cool. I have to like stop myself from the shame spiral by treating myself like a bad dog, which is like kind of counterintuitive, but it works. When I am my own like coach, and by coach I mean like the stickler coach, I do a lot better. It's made it hard, but I've definitely learned to start like replacing doom scroll and phone time with like journaling and writing poetry, like creative writing and doodling and drawing and, you know, things like that. And trying to just enjoy that for what it is. And it doesn't have to be anything and it doesn't have to go anywhere and nobody has to consume it because it's just as special and beautiful. Because I get to put meaning on whatever the fuck I want. And that's really exciting. It does make it hard though, too, when it comes to Scowl, which was at one point this very free flowing creative thing that now is my job. It makes a lot of like creative decision making so much more high intensity and pressured, especially as a group.
Because you know, if you really make this decision to do that, like there's consequence, like there are consequences to every decision. And I imagine you've got more decisions on a daily basis. You've got like 10, 20 decisions to make.
Oh my gosh.
You know, that t-shirt, that t-shirt design, or that drive, or that route, or that not route, you know, or that festival, not festival. It's like, I imagine it's constant.
It's very constant and it's awesome again, because on one hand, like two sides of the same coin here. One hand, it's like, this is all I ever wanted. This is my dream. But on the other side, it's like, now it is a job and nobody likes clocking in. Nobody likes doing their job that much, you know, unless they're running from something else, which I totally get. I've been a workaholic in the past. With Scowl, I get a lot of decision fatigue where it all kind of turns gray. And I'm like, I don't really know what's good or bad. I don't really care anymore. And that's a place that I really don't want to always get. I don't want to land there too often, because at that point, then like.
Then you put out stuff that's not the best shit. Yeah.
You do things that aren't fulfilling, and you find yourself. I mean, I've literally found myself at times like, you know, doing something and I was like, why the fuck am I doing this?
I don't want to do
like,
it. Yeah.
What, who said yet? Who decided to do this? And then I'm like, oh, I decided to do this. Okay. And then it's like, okay, well, at least you live and you learn. And that's where it goes back to hardcore and punk. It's like, I have to challenge myself. I have to militantly challenge myself. I have to Henry Rollins this shit.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which I think I can do it. I think I can do it.
You know, I think it's cool. You got such a positive energy. And, you know, I think of dude from Drain. I know, obviously, you know, you guys have been playing shows together, been friends for such a long time. Sammy, of course, yeah.
Yeah.
And do you know, when they put their record out, there's one thing, you know how you read a book, you watch a film or a TV show, and one thing sticks in your mind and you catch yourself thinking about it. There was a little promo vid they did with Epitaph when that record came out. And it was the thing where he was like, we weren't cool. We were never cool. You know, like we are, you know, in the eyes of so many people, we are now cool, but we were not the cool kids. You know, and there is something about punk and hardcore that's very like that. You know, I feel like I've been on both sides of that as well. I've been the cool person, I've been the uncool person, but to remain kind of positive throughout all of that is a really nice kind of motivating, inspirational touch to everything.
Yeah. Well, and I think being cool is fake. Like, I think being cool is like not a real thing, and like the idea of it is like it's ultimately super uncool, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like
it's like coldness. The coldness is not cool. It's not helpful to anyone.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think like the funny thing that my genuine funny like take about hardcore and coolness and is that like everybody in hardcore isn't cool. That's why we like it. Like that's why we participate in it. So the idea of coolness existing in hardcore is laughable to me. Like actually hilarious. It'll always happen because that's culture. You break it down to the smallest level. There will always be cliques and there's always going to be social hierarchy. Like I have to laugh. I have to laugh at it. And there is like this level of like, you know, those like memes. It's like, I'm cringe, but I'm free, you know?
Yeah.
I feel like on a very personal level, I live that to like the fullest extent. So I can't talk about being cool at all. Like I really cannot.
I like that. Just saw a video of Have Heart where he's like, this might sound corny, but fuck you. And I'm like, yes, yeah, just say it. Because anything at this point, anything earnest can sound corny. And it's like, what? So you're just never going to say anything earnest anymore? Yeah, you can't do that.
And then you're just going to experience spiritual death and you're going to be miserable and life is going to suck. Like, what? No, come on.
Don't want that.
Enjoy it. Have fun. Who gives a shit? You know?
And this is why ska punk is important.
Exactly. I've been saying this.
Hey, thanks so much for the time, Kat. I appreciate it.
Of course.
I hope you have a good day after this. I've got one question to finish with, if that's good. And I think I asked you at Reading a couple of years ago about like your funniest sort of side hustles or part-time jobs, and you worked at the Lego store, which is
I did
great. I mean, what you must look back at that and think that was a good job as far as sort of like customer facing stuff. That's Lego store is pretty sick. Well,
working at the Lego store was so fun because I just built Legos all day.
Yeah.
Like it was awesome. And I love an objective task. It's like, you know what? If this whole band thing doesn't work out, put me in a factory.
I'm a big fan of people's work mistakes, like work gaffes in the workplace. Like I've made plenty. Like, I mean, it's actually, it wasn't my job, but when I was studying, I lied in my dissertation because I was sort of too busy to do it, and I got found out, and I got called in and sort of like cried in front of the teacher, aged like 25.
Like, I'm so sorry. I'm sorry for being untruthful.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I was saying earlier. I've lied a bunch. I've done a bunch of shit like that. I get it. I literally I cheated my way through high school just to flunk out.
It would have been easier to have done the work.
I cheated my way through high school just to drop out. Like, what the fuck? Like, okay, sure. No.
Have you got any memories? Sorry, you go.
Oh, you're good. I was gonna say even on not lying and cheating, but with Scowl, like the amount of times we've fucked up shit and just been like, well, it's all of our fault. Yep. Like we've printed merch with misprints multiple times. We put how flowers grow on the back of a shirt and it said we forgot the L and it said how fowlers grow. It was just so stupid, but people bought it. People loved it. And we're like, yep.
That's a good lesson. How many got printed? Is it like 50 or like hundreds?
Maybe like 100, maybe 50. I don't remember exactly how many, but people bought them. It wasn't noticeable. I will say the misprint was not extremely noticeable.
Yeah.
Hilarious nonetheless.
Well, I just saw something came off my Reddit the other day, and it was like someone working at a secondhand bookstore saw the first edition of a Harry Potter book, and they knew it was first edition because there was a misprint on the back of that, which it makes it more expensive. I mean, that's a different case.
Yeah, it's rare.
Yeah, it's rare. That's what all design agencies want.
Rare
companies. Yeah,
yes.
It's super rare.
You know what? We're gonna start capitalizing on misprints.
Yes. Yeah. 50.
Don't tell anybody. When I worked at Trader Joe's, there was a day where we were slammed. The line was for each register, which there's like 12 registers. Each register lines were back of the store, like all the way to the back of the store. And I had just clocked in. So it was my first hour of the shift and it was a madhouse. And as soon as I'm bagging groceries, this woman drops a bag and it's like a bottle of like vodka, spills all over the ground, breaks, broken glass everywhere, right on the ground, drink. And we have stacks of like seltzer water in glass bottles, like Gerolsteiner and like, and the vodka like seeped into these cardboard boxes with the glass seltzer waters.
Okay.
So I'm trying to clean up one mess and there's so many people around me, loaded carts. There's it's the most overstimulating environment you could ever put yourself in, right?
Yeah.
And I'm trying to clean up glass and vodka and I'm trying to move these boxes so they don't get more soaked because they're cardboard. If you lift them up and they're soaked, then everything's going to fall out. Well,
right.
That's exactly what happened. I was trying to move these things and then more fell and so we had more broken glass and more water and liquids all over the ground. And there's like hundreds of people trying to get through with carts and children and just insane. I ended up, my manager walked up to me and I started bawling. I just said, I have got to go. I cannot do this anymore. And my manager went, okay. And I went to the bathroom and cried for 15 minutes. When I came back, it was chill. Mess was cleaned up. Didn't have to deal with that.
And that is the lesson that everyone can take.
So, look, if you just cry and you just succumb to your failures and you run away from them, you can come back in 15 minutes and the mess will be cleaned up. It'll be okay.
It's all good. It's fine. Nice one,
totally
Kat.
fine.
Thank you very much. I'm buzzing for the record. Looking forward to seeing you when you come back to England. It's going to be good.
Thank you. I can't wait. Thank you.
Cheers for watching. This is 101 Part-Time Jobs. You can find us on Apple, Spotify, and all podcast apps. We've done interviews with Aurora, Kneecap, Idols, Lauren Maybury of Churches, and loads more. So tap into 101 Part-Time Jobs on Spotify, Apple, and all podcast apps.